It's Brian Preston, the Money Guy.
All right, Brian, this next question is from Dr. G. Dr. G said, I have a question about term life insurance. My wife and I are 26. We're recently married. We have no kids. We do have a mortgage and we do have student loans. How do we pick a term life insurance policy? So what's the way? Let's answer the question first, Brian. Do they need term life insurance or do they need life insurance? Question one. Second question, is term insurance the right kind of insurance? Third question, how do they decide how much to buy and where to buy and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, we like term insurance. I mean, if you look at what we do in our own personal lives, I mean, I have a ton of term insurance. And truthfully, it's not, this is the good thing. You don't have to get all right on the first try.
That's right.
Because life evolves, life changes. I mean, but for Dr. G specifically, 26, married, have a house. You always have to ask yourself the question with insurance, because first, what is insurance for? It's to essentially fulfill the obligations. If you're unable to do so, it's to protect you from the dangerous stuff. And I think for a 26-year-old who's married, you're worried if you somehow got, prematurely killed or died, now you got sick or something, sure. You would feel horrible if you leave your spouse with a mortgage and other financial obligations where they're unable to fulfill and do that just because you're not able to earn an income and pay for it. Now, that's for a 26-year-old. Think about a 65-year-old who, a few years ahead, now this same person has a multiple seven-figure portfolio. Their house is paid off. You look at, if this person passes away, yeah, financially, it's probably not as a big of a shock and awe moment as it is an emotional, you love this person, you don't want them to leave, but it's financially not going to destroy the life of the surviving spouse. So now you can start to get a visual or a picture of what insurance is supposed to do for you between those two different scenarios. So that's why, since your needs will change over time, it's nice if you can buy cheap insurance to give you the protection, because also realize there's something competing in the background, especially when you're in your 20s, is you need to be saving and building. You don't get to that age 65 where the money's working for you and it's taking away the financial risk without building stuff over the time. Well, if all your money's going towards life insurance through like a whole life policy or something with big cash value deposits every year, where's the money you're actually building for that financial independence? That's where term comes in, and the fact that I love that you're basically buying the cost of the insurance, and you choose the term. Is it 20 years? Is it 25? Is it 30? You get to kind of determine that. And for a 26-year-old, maybe it's just the mortgage amount plus some portion of your income of a multiple of maybe 10 or some rule of thumb like that. But as you get older, you can take into account, especially when the kids are born, you can take into account education expenses and other things in that assumption. And like I said, it might become a ladder strategy. It's where every time you have a big life event, you're buying another term life policy. It's not uncommon at all when somebody has a brand new baby, you say, hey, you probably need to get 20 to 25 years of term insurance because you want to make sure that the child is through out of the house and hopefully funded a lot of their education goals. You can do that. You can add it as long as you're healthy. That's the only thing with term. And Bo, you might be able to shed some light on this, is what happens if you're not healthy and you were when you were 26, but you're not 35. I mean, what are there some limitations with term life insurance?
Yeah, Brent, it's interesting. What you just described is the exact thing that I did, right? My wife and I were going to celebrate 10 years married this year. And I want to say the first time that I bought an insurance policy was after we got married and had the mortgage and we moved across state lines, right? So she didn't have parents nearby and her family. And I was like, you know what, if I'm going to move this girl to a different part of the country and we're going to have this mortgage, I should probably have some life insurance to keep her protected. I still have that policy today, even though I've added kids to the equation and business and all other stuff. We just kept bolting on, exactly what you said. So we started with kind of that base level, you figure out, is it the mortgage amount? Is it 10 times income? Whatever it is. And then you adjust accordingly through time. And so you kind of have this nice little patchwork quilt of insurance. Here's what I think is really interesting. I say it was almost the first insurance policy I bought. When I was in college and I was working with a large insurance company, I came up with this great idea because I believed this thing that I could build wealth in this insurance.
You were selling insurance.
I was
in
selling
college.
insurance, right? I was doing an internship. I was selling insurance. I was like, oh, I'm going to buy some for myself because I'll make a commission off of it and I can invest it. And yeah, it just didn't turn out. It didn't turn out really well. And I look back thinking, what the world was I doing at like 18, 19 years old trying to buy insurance? That wasn't a good time to buy insurance, nor was that a good type of insurance to buy. I love what Dr. G is thinking here. Low-cost term insurance to cover the basics, I think is a great way. One of the things I also love doing, I don't think you mentioned this, when it comes time to buy insurance, we love independent agencies, right? We love using an insurance agent. They can shop a bunch of different companies. If you go to if you go to an insurance agent that works for one company, odds are they can sell you one type of insurance from that company, and it may or may not be the least expensive. Whereas if you go with an independent agency, they can shop 4, 5, 6 different companies and different types of products, whether you want a 20-year, 30-year, that sort of thing. So it might make sense to look at that type of insurance agent to go buy a policy from. Is that where you're going with that?
Well, I mean, I think that's definitely should come into play. I mean, because most people don't realize your state insurance commissioners kind of regulate how. Yep. So if you buy online versus an actual agent, there's usually not a price difference because it's been regulated or curtailed by the state insurance commissioner. Yep. So, I mean, I always think about when things go ugly, if you have a good insurance agent, that's much better than a website. That's but right. the operative part there is it a good insurance agent? Because I always give the guidance, find the insurance agent or somebody that they don't need to sell the insurance to you to pay for food for their family because they'll give you shoot you straight versus you might look like that Looney Tune commercial where, you know, the person's the character's hungry and everything looks like a chicken,
like a giant turkey
looks
leg.
like a turkey, a featherless turkey, you know, walking around right out of the oven because you know that's the thing. I love insurance agents because they can help you if something goes bad, but just make sure that they don't look at you as their next commission check because there is a balance there. And look, we actually have insurance brokers as clients. If they're honest, they tell you they kind of agree with that. You know, they understand when they were hungry. They probably did things a little more aggressively than when they had reached a level of success where they could be more consultants than salespeople.